Still focusing on what's going on in the polity. We've got Etok here with us. He's the DG Nigeria First Project. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, clearly quite a lot is unfolding, but let me take it from that perspective of the youth and the comment by Professor Wole Soyinka. From your interaction with young people, you think that they've gotten to that level yet? Because you still have some who are expressing some concerns about how to take on some issues in the polity.
There are about 3 segments of the youth, expectedly, generally. There's probably about 20, 25, 30% of the youths who are really ready to take their destiny in their hands. There is another wider percentage, maybe like 40, 45, that are beaten by the system and they just want to go the way of the system. And there's this remaining group that are like they're just waiting to know what to do. If you take the first and the last, you realize that they're just looking for leadership. They're just looking for 1 or 2 people like Professor Wole Soyinka to tell them, go ahead, because these are people who are like trying to navigate the minds themselves. They've done it in music. If you look at it, Nigeria is a global player in music today. It had nothing to do with the adults.
But music and politics are 2 different
No,
things.
I'm just trying, person is person. How you divert a person to an institution or a process. Do you understand? Person is person. If they could do it in music, if they could do it in fashion, if they could do it in Nollywood, it means that there is this group of people that are willing to take their destiny in their hands. We are now trying to bring them to do it in governance. And all we need is to give them direction. You would realize that I contested in the last elections. I want to shock the whole nation. There was nobody above 40 that was in my team. Nobody. Everything we did was strictly by the young people. I didn't even consult my boss, architect Obon Victor Atta. I consulted none of those people.
Is that what you want young people to learn from?
Yes.
Not to consult their bosses?
No, they've got to know that. Give them that. They always feel that except this is done, it cannot be. And I told them, you can do it.
Well,
you respect the bosses, but you don't have to submit your life to them. The time has come. I said something on the social media and it went viral. I said that.
Is it bosses
let me just
or mentors?
say this. I'll just tell you this. They are not mentors. Submit to your mentors, but take your life from your bosses. I said something. I said, children are leaders of tomorrow, but the youths are leaders of today. At 37 years of age, at 30, I'd had my 3 children. At 30 years of age, I got married at 25. And you are telling me, a master's degree holder, a father of 3, at 30, I'm a small boy, leader of tomorrow. At 37, I was the first Nigerian that got a Shelter Afrique facility for any state government in this country. I built the Shelter Afrique estate. We can't keep telling our children that they are children at 30, at 40. They are adults.
Mr. Iyake, where did disenchantment come? Because it will seem from what you have said now that this larger, the first and the large group seems to be disenchanted. Because in the First Republic, this whole independent Nigeria that we're talking about was championed by the youths of that age. So along the line, there was some kind of disenchantment. Where did that come from?
Along the line, there was no transition. You see, if you follow the progression of our trajectory of development, you realize that there is a certain generation that took care of the old and the young at the same time. A generation that took care of their children and took care of their parents. Our parents brought us up, handed over the baton to us, okay? We took up, when I say us, I mean my generation, 60s, okay? We took up the mantle of leadership. And then we continued, and just to make sure that our children don't suffer what we suffered as children. We over-pampered them to a point where we gave them what you call entitlement mentality. The children of these days live under certain entitlement. You see, they want to have the first degree. They want to have the masters. They want to go for another master's. They just want to keep schooling and schooling. My father
Is that entitlement?
It's entitlement. No, your father, you are entitled to basic education. By the time your father gives you school set and gives you, that's what I told my children. The moment I give you first degree, I'm done with you. You face your life.
Yeah, but doesn't that vary from family to family and preference?
Most families, we suffered. Chamberlain, we suffered so much as children.
So does that mean that because they suffered, the upcoming ones must suffer?
No, we don't want our children to suffer.
Oh, okay.
So we have over-pampered our children such that adults are still suffering from child mentality. How can you at 30 be in your father's house?
But
you are waiting for your father.
Percentage of people are in that
you're
bracket?
Waiting for your father to give you a job.
Isn't that a minute?
No, it's
section?
not. It's not. You see, we run the concept of elitism, where what the elite do is what the others copy and follow. That is why you see a poor man, instead of sending his children to public school that he can afford, he wants to also send his children to private schools, such that private schools is now status symbol. You now have private schools of 3 people paying 30,000, which is as good as a public school.
Now, is this what are you predicating Nigeria's woes or limited growth on this?
On the elite that have failed on the issue of responsibility.
So there is there is no responsibility for government in this?
Oh, no. You see, there are 2 sets of narratives. When we want to enter government, I will tell you that the very first thing is that we don't even understand.
Okay, let's enter government right away. Let's take a look at what has happened over the days, this herdsman settlement and how it has played out in the polity. Well, yes, government, but youth also did play a role, perhaps in conjunction with some actors of state, I might add. How did you see the
2 things? What is government? What is nation? What is constitution? Unless we answer those 3 questions, we'll never make progress as a nation. What is government? What is nation? What is constitution? If the constitution is that law that allows us as a nation governed by government to make progress, then anything outside the constitution must not be allowed by the government, which is the body set up to manage us as a nation. I'll tell you this. What does the Constitution say about rights? It says that all of us, every Nigerian is the same, is equal, is entitled to every single thing that government has to cater for. If that be the right, if that be the case, then the governors or the administrators of this system must be careful to ensure equality, equity, I may not say equality, equity and fairness to all. What is good for the Southeast must be good for the Northeast. What the Northeast or Northwest wants must be equally accepted. We must come to a position where we feel that we are all citizens and this is all for us.
What is your, pardon me for jumping, what is your assessment of, because you've seen 3 things for which, young people, they spoke a lot in the last couple of days about 3 separate items. I mean, you heard that of the senator, you heard that of the pastor, and you heard about this Ruger herdsman settlement matter. Is that suggesting, or does that mean that there just might be some awareness, some certain discovery made on the part of the people, and who knows how they might play this card next?
The Bible talks about the sons of Issachar that has a discernment of the signs of the times. One of the very shocking and unfortunate things is that our leaders are not aware that a countdown has begun. Never in the history of this country. I've been a Christian for as long as I can remember my name. And even up till probably 2 weeks back or a week back, I couldn't imagine that a pastor of a frontline church will be made to step down on account of pressure from the public. That's number one. Number two, was almost inconceivable that a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be brought to his knees to a point of going public to say, young lady, I am sorry I did this. I regret it. That's part one. Number three, it was instructive that Mr. President saw things halfway and came to a point of rescinding on a decision that affects his kinsmen. Our president has been, please pardon my word, unduly clannish, unduly. And it comes to understanding the Constitution and realizing that you are not Buhari. No, you are not. The moment you sit on this seat, you seize your personal preferences because you swore to a constitution. And that takes me to my first point again. What did the Constitution say? The Constitution says that you are father to the southeast, you are father to the southwest, you are father to the northeast, you are father to everybody. That as long as you sit on this seat, you are no longer a man who likes to listen to this sort of music.
You know,
no longer yourself.
I raised that question.
Yes.
Second part of it was, is there a conscious or an unconscious discovery that politicians actually take advantage of the fault lines of Nigerians?
There is a conscious, yes, there is a conscious awareness.
Now, if that is there,
yes,
do you think that we've come to that stage where, having realized that politicians take advantage of our fault lines, are we willing to take that deliberate step to say, okay, well, moving forward, this is how we're going to approach things?
We are willing. And they needed certain voices. Maybe that's why I'm here today. They needed to hear Wole Soyinka say, for goodness sake, leave me alone and take hold of your destiny. That's what he said. Because let's see that, you see, I read something, somebody said, our problem is not civil disobedience. Our problem is civil obedience. Whatever goes on, oh yes, you sit down. You don't want, you want to eat the egg, you don't want to break it either. You want to have, omelette. You don't want to break the shell. It's not going to happen. Well, you've got to be willing. And right now, the young people are gradually, there's a revolution that is brewing.
Do you think?
And what I want to warn, what I want to appeal, is that every revolution can either be, scalar.
But in terms of the staying power.
Yes.
Because you know what they say about standing the heat in the kitchen.
Thank you.
Now, because those who accuse young people that they're usually not able to stand the heat in the kitchen, and so they get up. But and speaking about that, the comments made recently by I think it's ACF, where they say they're giving a 30-day ultimatum. Then we got a response from I think it's Yoruba Council of Youth. Then
and what
has responded.
Is leadership? What is government saying? You cannot, as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you have no right. It is an abridged. It's not an aberration.
No,
I'm asking, it's an affront.
I asked that in context of the fact that youths will be youths, but it doesn't mean that all youths are on the same page.
No, there are two things. It's an affront on the Constitution. And one expects the leadership, Mr. President, to say, you cannot say this.
No, I'm asking that in the context
that's number
of...
one. That's number one. Number two is that is going to leave the field open for the sectional leaderships to mobilize. And that's where the youths come in.
Isn't this...
And we've come to stand up very quickly and urgently and make a national statement, and the youths, they're trying to lead you to ways of destroying your future. Don't listen to those. Listen to what makes us move forward as a nation.
Well, Chamberlain asked a question that let's bring it, make it a little...
Yes.
On the one hand, is a group of youth saying this policy must go on.
Yes.
On the other hand, is another group of youth saying no, we don't want this.
Yes.
There is a problem. What's the problem at that point?
I'll tell you what the problem is. One is that there is justice, equity, and the second is there's protection of interest. There will always be protection of interest, but let me tell you something.
There are because you said there are
two sets of youth.
There's a problem of leadership.
Yes.
Who is leading here?
That's the vacuum that we must tell the youth, sit and think and stop following us leaders foolishly. Sit and think. Do you want a crisis? I'm 55 for goodness sake.
I'm
almost retiring.
Sorry, sir.
But my children are in their late 20s.
Sorry,
late 20s.
When you
the question
say
is, no, this is very important that we get this.
I'm asking that because you talked about this problem of leadership.
Yes.
Now, this is not a new problem.
Yeah.
It's something that's been on for many years.
Correct.
Now, the challenge we're looking at here now is, okay, so the youths are now getting up.
Yes.
20 years
Yes.
into our democratic experience.
Yes.
Chamberlain asked that question. Yes. Do they have what it takes? Okay, I should ask.
Okay.
If they must have what it takes,
yes.
What is it? What does it take for the youth to have the staying power to stay in the kitchen when it's hot?
It is for them to realize that their destiny is at stake. And that's what Wole Soyinka said. Leave Wole Soyinka, he's lived his life. You sit down and decide what you want for your future.
Do you think they are ready for it?
Yes, they are ready. Why,
do you think they have enough education for
that? Is why two sets of people, they themselves must understand what they want. Number two, we that mean well, and that's where my heart really breaks. All of us that God has been so favored by or has so much favored, let us stand up and give the youth direction. Do you understand me? Let's stand up and help them. Let's stand up and be mentors. We've been bosses for too long. Let's become mentors of the youth by telling them that they can. You see, there are two ways you solve a problem for a guy. Okay, don't worry, I'll solve it for you. And then I'll teach you how to solve the problem. We've been solving the problems for the youth without the problems benefiting them.
Okay. Professor Wole Soyinka also said it, and I think it's a very pungent thing that, Chamberlain made reference to it. The man said, the first thing he said was that there's too much complaining on social media.
Yes.
You guys are always grumbling, always complaining.
Step out.
Now they need to
step out
and solve problems.
The problems.
It's not that the youths haven't done it before. Yes. You remember in 2012, Occupy Nigeria, it was frontally led by, many of the youths and all of that.
Yes.
Again to that question, they have the numbers.
Yes.
The youths, we have the numbers. We have all of the academic education, you talked about it.
Yes.
Do we have enough political education?
Yes.
Do we have enough governance in our system or understanding of how governments run or systems run to be able to take it on?
John Stott says that zeal without knowledge is fanaticism in action. But that knowledge without zeal is the paralysis of all action. The time has come when I say these citizenship responsibilities, elders, there are very many well-meaning Nigerians, but they are docile, they are quiet, they don't want to move out. And when the youth move out with the zeal, without knowledge, what comes up is fanaticism, is making nonsense of our nation. So that we can retire in peace, we owe it to ourselves as elders.
But many of these elders don't want to retire.
No, they will be retired. No. You see, a revolution has started.
This revolution that started, sorry to butt in. This revolution that started, don't forget that the youths are largely unemployed and consequently largely impoverished. That the belief many of them have is we need to have deep pockets to be able to solve some of these problems. How would that be done?
It's a narrative that we have sold to them. And quietly, I'm starting to tell them that it's not true. I'm starting to tell them, we're starting to tell our life history. That there were some of us that I've never held an office in my life. Never, ever. I don't know anybody. I don't want to know anybody. I don't care to know anybody. I've never accepted right from school. If I tell you the story of my life, you'll be sorry for me. The company I registered in university is a company I'm working with till today. I've never worked with anybody. You have to tell the youth your story. Give them that I suffered. I went through things, but here I am today. All we need is to enlighten the youth. I ran a campaign. I did not give anybody a dime. And yet the youth followed me from the first day to the last day. These people are there. They just want direction.
That's one section of the youth.
Yes.
You talked about this entitlement mentality.
Let's start with that.
You talked about this entitlement mentality. How do we work?
By starting to tell them, you see, the politicians for their selfish ends have sold, don't worry, you can't, you don't have the money. It is a thing to just demoralize them. But Wole Soyinka is saying, stand up I am saying, come out, hear my story. I'm having, what they call masterclass sessions with the youth all over this country. And everywhere you go, the Fela Dorotoyes, the Kings Moralus, we are mobilizing the youth. We are talking to them. And they are coming out in numbers. And things are changing. Why would a young man on a Sunday wear his clothes and say, you can't defile this woman and continue to sit there? Let me tell you something. It has happened to Mr. Fatobi Oibo. It has happened to the senator. It's happened to Mr. President now. The next thing, if we don't guide it well, is going to be our governors. Young people are going to block convoys and say, you don't need 30 cars to pass. Each of these cars is fueled by money that could have given me Medicare, that could have given me education. Why must you? Why are you always traveling? Why do you keep a private jet? This private jet, I don't have water to drink. Why are you doing this? People are starting to, you see, Mr. President wants to fight corruption, but he misses one of the most basic things. What is corruption? Corruption is darkness. What do you do to darkness? Bring light. It disappears. Do you understand? It's as simple as that. What is corruption? Darkness. What is the solution to darkness? Light. The moment Mr. President starts to make things open, subsidy, why can't Mr. President, who was the Minister of Petroleum before, tell Nigerians, what is it to say? This is the cost of importation. This is the cost of refining. This is the landed cost of petrol. Put it up. NNPC, open this thing up. Let us all see. When we see it, then we realize what this subsidy is all about.
Well, it's a revolving, conveyor belt system, but it's evolving too. Not that we're promoting anyone to, hit the road and just want to be physical about anything. Yes, they can be intellectual about some of the agitations as well, which is going to be something that a lot of people will continue looking forward to. But let me just ask you this in a different trajectory entirely.
Yes.
In the context of this AFCT after this Africa Free Trade Zone, Nigeria is eventually going to sign, become a signatory to that. For those who had fears in terms of, is the manufacturing sector, will they be able to compete goods in Africa? Look, if we haven't sorted our power challenges, how will the manufacturing sector here survive? So you see us standing through?
Two things. I'd say three things at the beginning. Government. We have not yet come to understand what government is and how government operates. When you have, government is this. You have, I'll give you a very simple illustration with Akwa Ibom State. We have a population of 5-point-something million. We have a budget of 6-point-something million. By the time you divide the budget by the population, every child, son, daughter of Akwa Ibom is entitled to 125,000.
Oh, that entitlement comes in again.
Per day, yes.
Okay.
125,000
do they get
per annum. Thank you. But we say the children cannot manage it. Pull it into one basket and manage it for the people.
I'm afraid we need to go, unfortunately. What time does to us. But I want to thank you for coming on. Ezekiel Etok, the DG, Nigeria First Project.